Tip number one, we're the sum of our consistent actions, our habits. So it is vitally important that you understand exactly how habits are formed and changed, why these changes can be so difficult to modify, what makes them harder or easier to maintain, and most importantly, how to educate our clients on this process. Implementing this one tip will dramatically increase your ability to get results and consistency within your clients. So let's have a quick look at the basics of habit modification.
A habit is an action you consistently perform that your mind doesn't have to consciously think about doing. Think of driving a car. When you were learning, it was stressful. You had to concentrate specifically on every single task. Your mind was focused on every single gear change, every car that passed you, every micro turn of the steering wheel. As you consistently practiced your driving, things started to get easier. It wasn't as stressful. You could even take in the surrounds, talk on your phone. Now this is how the mind works. If we didn't create habits, every time you got in the car, it would be the same as the first time. Now we all know this, so I won't go on. Changing habits becomes a little bit more difficult. When we are changing a habit, we need to look at how long the habit has been formed, how often it was accessed. The longer and more often, the stronger the neural firing and the tougher it will be to modify or change. Now let's pretend I need to get from A to B, and for 20 years I've been taking the same highway or following a certain lifestyle habit. All I do is get in my car, follow the one road, sometimes I even get to my destination and don't remember driving there. That's how strong this habit and the neural network is. So what if I decide to try a different way from A to B? I change a lifestyle habit because every time I go down the current route, I get a fine for speeding. I have a health complaint. To start with, my new route looks like this. I have to concentrate on every step. It's exhausting, it's stressful, and so is changing your eating activity or thoughts. Eventually, I get to my destination. Now, after a month or so, my track starts to become a little bit easier. But every time I go back and access my old neural pathway, it weakens the new pathway and it strengthens the old one, and also cues my mind on how easy this automated path is. Remember, our minds are set up for efficiency, do the least effort to get a desired result. We'll talk about more about this in addiction. For survival, the less you have to concentrate on specific tasks, the easier it is for your mind to be focused on its number one goal. So obviously, it loves automation and isn't a big fan of change. And priority. We are drawn to avoid or go after either the most immediate pain or pleasure or the strongest pain or pleasure. We'll talk about more on this when we tackle motivation, willpower, and goals. Now, this point here is where if you don't have an amazing practitioner who has helped educate you prior that this is completely normal that this struggle will occur, you can easily go back to the old habit. So as a practitioner, your goal in the education process is to show your client the more consistent they are, the easier and easier the new habit will become. They are virtually guaranteed to succeed if they focus on consistency. So, if you consistently perform the action frequently enough, the path gets stronger, stronger, and stronger. So just think, this process has to happen on every single habit you try to change with your client. If your client has multiple long-term habits that you know are affecting their ability to get the results they want, think about how much energy and stress they will be under in changing these patterns. What can seem easy, i.e. just do what I say, can be quite stressful to them. So, how you start and how you manage the habit modification process is of utmost importance. Let's do a quick overview. We are the sum of our consistent actions. To get a different result, we need to change our actions, change them consistently, and change them consistently for long enough until the mind starts to accept them as safe and it becomes an automated habit.
So, when we look at how to get each individual client the best possible result, one of the main steps we have to take into consideration is not just what changes or what actions we're going to try and change, but how many actions will we try to change. There are two main options here. You can either go wholesale changes, so a complete diet overhaul, complete activity overhaul, so adding way more activity, cutting out the alcohol, a cold turkey approach, or a couple of small changes. Now there are pros and cons to both approaches that will benefit different types of clients. On the link below you can click to see a comparison of the pros and cons of wholesale changes versus small changes, and a checklist of some of the decisions that you need to take into consideration. I'm sure you will agree that the ultimate goal for maximum compliance and ease of implementation would be to make the smallest amount of changes with the greatest result. So, make your decision based around what is best for your client in both the short and long term. Remember, the habits we create determine our future.